This just blew up behind the scenes in Baltimore, and it completely changes how you look at this last Ravens draft. Eric DeCosta revealed something nobody saw coming. A move way outside the norm involving none other than the team owner, Steve Bisciotti. And when I say outside the norm, I'm talking did that really just happen level. Now hear me out. This wasn't just a symbolic moment. There was a real pick, a real decision being made. And there's a player walking into this locker room with a completely different kind of weight on his shoulders because of it. And honestly, this could have consequences that go way beyond a simple fifth-round pick. Because when the owner steps into the game like this, everything shifts, and what comes next might surprise a lot of people. For me, this already starts in a place that's way outside the norm. Steve Bisciotti wasn't just sitting back watching the draft. He wanted in, for real. And this wasn't subtle. According to Eric DeCosta, during an NFL meeting weeks before the draft, Bisciotti was asking, actually pushing, to make a pick himself. This wasn't curiosity. This was him wanting to be part of the process, and DeCosta's own words make that crystal clear. It's the first draft pick Steve Bisciotti's ever made. Steve was begging for a draft pick, and he owns the team. At that point, there's really nothing to debate. When the owner wants something, it's happening. And DeCosta didn't dance around it either. Yeah, Steve, of course you can have a draft pick. To me, that's where everything changes. Because now it's not just a football operation making decisions. It's the highest level of power in the organization stepping in. Now think about what that does inside the building. Scouts are grinding tape. Coaches are debating fit. The front office is mapping out the roster. And then the owner steps in and says, "This one's mine." That's not just symbolic. It changes the weight of the decision, shifts the internal dynamic, and honestly, it creates a precedent that could grow over time. And here's the key part. The moment that pick exists, it's already different from every other one. This isn't just another player joining the roster. This is the owner's guy. And when you look at who that player is, the story starts to get even more interesting and a little more complicated. The name Adam Randall wasn't some random flyer from Steve Bisciotti. This is actually a pretty intriguing player when you take a closer look. He didn't come in with massive first-round hype, but his story stands out. He started as a wide receiver, then transitioned to running back and immediately produced. At Clemson last season, he stepped in as RB1 and put up legit numbers, 814 rushing yards and 13 total touchdowns. That's not nothing, especially for someone still adjusting to the position. And being real with you, that kind of versatility matters in today's NFL. A player who understands the passing game and can carry the ball effectively opens up a lot inside an offense. What stands out to me is the profile of the pick. This wasn't a safe or obvious choice. This is a player with upside, with room to grow, but still something to prove. And coming from the owner, that's interesting, because it suggests he saw something specific, not just a name on a board. At least that's how it looks from the outside. But once you understand how this decision was actually made, the whole situation gets even more intriguing. Because this wasn't just, I like this guy, and that's it. There was a process behind it that changes how you view the pick. This is where, for me, things gain a little more credibility. Eric DeCosta made it clear that Steve Bisciotti didn't just walk in and throw out a random name. According to him, the owner watched tape, did his research, and even talked to people around the player to validate the decision. That shifts the perception quite a bit. Because let's be honest, when you first hear that an owner made a pick, the immediate reaction is to think it was surface level. But in this case, there was preparation. There was an effort to actually understand the player. And to me, that shows Bisciotti wanted to take this seriously, not just jump in for the sake of it. At the same time, there's an important reality you can't ignore. Watching tape and making calls doesn't replace years of experience evaluating talent at the NFL level. There's a reason teams have entire departments dedicated to this. So even with all that effort, this is still an unconventional decision, and it naturally raises questions. And that's exactly where things start to get more sensitive. Because when you mix preparation with ultimate authority, the conversation isn't just about the pick anymore. It's about what this means for the organization moving forward. All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video. But before we keep going, I noticed you haven't hit the like button yet. And that really matters, because it helps YouTube keep showing Ravens content like this to you. So if you enjoy staying updated with the latest Ravens news, analysis, and everything happening around the team, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow, and it's completely free. I appreciate it. To me, this is the biggest point in the entire story. This isn't just about Adam Randall or a fifth-round pick. It's about what happens when an owner starts stepping directly into football decisions. Because once that line gets crossed and nobody pushes back, it becomes a precedent. In the NFL, there's a very clear separation between the business side and football operations, and that's not by accident. When that line starts to blur, the risk of emotional or out-of-context decisions goes up, even if the intention is good. And if we're being honest, we've seen this go wrong in other organizations before. It usually starts small, a one-time involvement, something that feels harmless. But over time, it can turn into consistent influence, and that's when the structure of the front office starts to shift. And when that happens, things can get complicated fast. And now that this pick has been made, there's an unavoidable consequence. Someone inside that locker room is going to feel the impact of this decision. And that someone is the player who just got drafted. The reality is simple. Adam Randall is no longer just another fifth-round pick. He walks into this team with a label. He's the owner's guy. And for me, that changes everything. Because the expectations around him won't be the same. If he plays well, it'll look like Steve Bisciotti has a great eye for talent. But if he doesn't produce, it gets uncomfortable. This isn't just a missed pick. It becomes a direct reflection of the owner's decision. And inside an NFL organization, that's never a small thing. There's also a quieter impact inside the locker room. Players and coaches notice this kind of situation. Even if nobody says it out loud, the question is there. Will he get more opportunities because of who picked him? Does the merit-based system stay the same? Those doubts can exist, even if they're subtle. And in the middle of all that, Randall still has to prove himself like everyone else, just with extra weight on his shoulders from day one. That's what makes this story so compelling, because now it's not just about development on the field, it's about how this entire situation plays out over the course of the season. What happened in this Ravens draft isn't just a behind-the-scenes curiosity. It's a decision that could have real consequences moving forward. When Steve Bisciotti steps directly into the process and makes a pick, it changes the dynamic inside the organization. This goes beyond talent or projection. It's about influence, structure, and how that decision is handled from here on out. At the same time, all eyes are now on Adam Randall. He has to earn his spot like anyone else, but with added pressure from the very first snap. And honestly, this is where the story will be decided, on the field. If he delivers, it becomes a surprising win. If not, this decision will be remembered very differently. Now I want to hear from you. Was this a bold move or a dangerous precedent for the Ravens? Do you think Randall can prove this was the right call, or is this setting up a problem down the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading everything. And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out, and I'll see you in the next video.